years. He was quoted as saying this: everybody knows she's the golden goose, right? She's bringing millions of new fans to the game, selling out arenas, driving TV ratings, and that's not an opinion. That's reality. That's a fact.
Caitlin Clark is being left out there to dry, and a former NBA player just said enough, and he went nuclear on the Indiana Fever, on Stephanie White, and on the entire WNBA. This is breaking. This is massive. And if you have not heard what Enes Kanter Freedom just said to News Nation Live, you need to stop everything you are doing right now, because this changes the entire conversation. Hello everyone, welcome back to WNBA X-Tray. I am so glad you are here, and I am back with another exciting and incredibly important video that I truly hope you are going to enjoy. Make sure you stay with me all the way to the very end, because you are absolutely not going to want to miss what is coming in this video. There is so much to break down today, so much to unpack, and every single second of it matters. So without wasting any more of your time, let us jump straight into it. Okay, so here is what we are dealing with today. A former NBA player, a big man who played on the Boston Celtics, who played alongside Damian Lillard, Dame Time himself, with the Portland Trail Blazers, came out publicly and said what millions of fans have been screaming from the rooftops for months now. He went on News Nation Live and he blasted the Indiana Fever. He blasted Stephanie White. He called out the teammates. And here is where it gets even bigger. He called out the entire WNBA league itself. Every single party involved. Nobody was safe. And the sports world is absolutely buzzing right now because of it. Now think about this for a second. Think about who Enes Kanter Freedom is. This is not just some random person coming off the street with an opinion. This man was a highly recruited prospect coming out of high school. He went to Kentucky, he went to the NBA, he played for multiple franchises at the highest level of professional basketball. He played with Damian Lillard, one of the greatest point guards in the history of the game, in Portland. So when Enes Kanter Freedom talks about what it means to protect your superstar point guard, he is not guessing, he is not speculating, he lived it. He knows exactly what it takes to make sure your franchise player is safe, is protected, and is able to do what they do best. And he looked at what is happening to Caitlin Clark right now, and he said, this is unacceptable, full stop. Have you been paying attention to what has been happening to Caitlin Clark on that court? Have you been watching the hits she is taking? Have you been watching the way she gets knocked around, pushed around, fouled hard, and then the whistles just do not come? And have you noticed that her teammates are standing there, that the coaching staff is standing there, that the organization seems to be standing there, just watching? Just letting it happen, just letting the most important, most valuable, most marketable play in the history of this league take hit after hit after hit, with nobody saying a single word, nobody stepping up, nobody sending a message that says, hey, you cannot do that to our player. You cannot do that to Caitlin Clark, not on our watch. And here is what nobody is telling you. This is not just about basketball. This is not just about a few hard fouls going uncalled. This is about the future of the entire WNBA. This is about whether this league is going to protect the golden goose, or whether they are going to let jealousy, politics, and incompetence destroy the greatest thing that has ever happened to women's basketball. And Enes Kanter Freedom saw it. He saw it clearly. And he had the courage to say it out loud on national television. Here is exactly what he told News Nation. He said, everybody knows she is the golden goose. She is bringing millions of new fans to the game, selling out arenas, driving TV ratings. And that is not an opinion, that is reality. That is a fact. Let that sink in. A former NBA player, someone who has been inside the highest levels of professional basketball, is going on national news and saying what every single fan of Caitlin Clark already knows to be true. She is the golden goose. She is the reason the WNBA is experiencing a level of popularity and attention that it has never seen before in its entire existence. And the league, the coaches, the teammates, they are not protecting her. They are failing her.
Here's what he had to say. When the league's biggest star keeps taking hard hits without getting the same protection under the rules, the league has to do a better job. Protecting your golden goose doesn't mean giving her extra calls. It means enforcing the rule book consistently and fairly.
Did you hear that? Everybody knows she is the golden goose. She is bringing millions of new fans to the game, selling out arenas, driving TV ratings, and that is not an opinion. That is reality. That is a fact. Those are not the words of a casual fan. Those are not the words of someone with an agenda. Those are the words of a man who played professional basketball at the highest level, who understands what a franchise-changing superstar looks like, and he is looking at Caitlin Clark and saying she is IT, she is the one. And the people around her are dropping the ball in the most spectacular, most embarrassing way possible. Now let us talk about what Enes Kanter Freedom said about the officiating situation, because this is so important. So many people have tried to frame this debate as Caitlin Clark fans wanting her to get special treatment, wanting her to get extra calls, wanting the referees to just hand her a free pass because she is famous. And that is a complete and total misrepresentation of what people are actually asking for. What fans are asking for, what Caitlin Clark herself is asking for, is consistency, is fairness. Is the rulebook being applied the same way to the biggest star in the league as it is applied to everyone else? That is it. That is the whole argument. And Enes Kanter Freedom said it perfectly. He said, when the league's biggest star keeps taking hard hits without getting the same protection under the rules, the league has to do a better job protecting your golden goose. It does not mean giving her extra calls. It means enforcing the rulebook consistently and fairly. How can anyone argue with that? How can anyone look at that statement and say that is wrong? You cannot, because it is not wrong. It is 100% correct. And the fact that we even have to have this conversation, the fact that a former NBA player has to go on national television to say these things, tells you everything you need to know about the state of the Indiana Fever organization and the state of the WNBA right now.
I mean, if I was her teammate, I would do everything I can to protect her, because if she goes down, if she leaves the league, then nobody will be making the money they're
Enforce the rulebook consistently and fairly. That is all anyone is asking for. That is the whole thing. And yet here we are still talking about this, still watching Caitlin Clark take hits, still watching the Fever organization say nothing. Still watching Stephanie White stand on that sideline and do absolutely nothing to send a message to the rest of the league that you do not get to treat our player like that. It is mind-blowing. It is genuinely mind-blowing. And now let us get to the part that really hit different. Because Enes Kanter Freedom did not just talk about the league and the officiating. He talked about the teammates. He talked about the players who are sharing that locker room with Caitlin Clark every single day. The players who are cashing checks that are significantly larger than they would be without Caitlin Clark on that roster. The players who are playing in front of sold-out arenas that would not be sold out without Caitlin Clark on that court. And he had something very direct to say to all of them.
In years, he was quoted as saying this: everybody knows she's the golden goose, right? She's bringing millions of new fans to the game, selling out arenas, driving TV ratings, and that's not an opinion. That's reality. That's a fact.
If she goes down, if she leaves the league, then nobody will be making the money they are making right now. Let that land, let that really land, because that is the truth. That is the cold, hard, undeniable truth of the situation. Every player in that Indiana Fever locker room, every player in the entire WNBA is making more money right now because Caitlin Clark exists in this league. Every single one of them. The television deals are bigger, the attendance numbers are higher, the merchandise is selling, the sponsorships are flowing. All of it is connected to the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark. And if she gets hurt because nobody protected her, if she gets frustrated and walks away, if she decides that this league does not deserve what she brings to it, then every single one of those benefits disappears, gone, overnight. And this is what makes the Stephanie White situation so absolutely infuriating, because before Stephanie White arrived, before all of this drama and dysfunction started, the Indiana Fever were not just a good team, they were America's team. They were the most watched, most talked about, most electric team in the entire WNBA. Caitlin Clark's rookie season was something that the sports world had never seen before. Record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas everywhere they traveled, highlights going viral every single night. It was must-see television. It was the kind of energy and excitement that you just cannot manufacture. You cannot fake it. It was real, it was organic, and it was built entirely around Caitlin Clark being unleashed and allowed to be the generational talent that she is. And then Stephanie White came in, and what happened? The vibe changed, the style of play changed, the energy changed. Suddenly Caitlin Clark's natural, instinctive, breathtaking style of basketball is being called hero ball. Hero ball. Can you believe that? The coach of the Indiana Fever is calling Caitlin Clark's game hero ball, the same game that broke every NCAA scoring record in history, the same game that has filled every arena she has ever played in, the same game that has brought millions of brand new fans to women's basketball. That game is being called hero ball by the coach who is supposed to be building around it, maximizing it, and protecting the player who plays it. And it gets worse. The pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston, one of the most devastating and unstoppable combinations in the entire league, is being shelved. Why? Because people know it is coming. That is the actual reason that was given. People know it is coming. You know what else people knew was coming? LeBron James going to the basket, Steph Curry pulling up from 35 feet, Damian Lillard hitting a logo 3 at the buzzer. You know what coaches did? They ran those plays anyway, because when you have a weapon that good, you do not hide it, you use it. You use it over and over and over again until the other team figures out how to stop it, and then you adjust. That is basketball. That is how this is supposed to work. But somehow, with Caitlin Clark, the approach is different, and fans can see it, the whole country can see it. Now here is something that really puts all of this into perspective. There is a conversation going around right now about why the Indiana Fever are America's team. And the answer is simple. It is Caitlin Clark. Full stop. When Caitlin Clark is playing, you schedule your entire day around that game. You plan everything out, you get your errands done, you get your work done, you get everything handled so that you can sit down and watch the Clark show. There is nobody else in this league, there is nobody else in women's sports that you are doing that for. She is must-see television every single night she steps on that floor, and that is not an opinion, that is a fact backed up by the ratings numbers, the attendance figures, and the millions of new fans who have discovered the WNBA because of her. Think about that for a second. People who could not name another WNBA team are tuning in to watch the Indiana Fever. People who had never watched a single minute of women's basketball in their lives are now scheduling their evenings around Fever games. That is the Caitlin Clark effect. That is what she has done for this league. And instead of celebrating it, instead of protecting it, instead of doing everything in their power to maximize it, the Indiana Fever coaching staff and the WNBA itself are letting it slip through their fingers. It is one of the most baffling, most frustrating things happening in sports right now. And look, it is not just about the on-court stuff. It is the culture, it is the attitude. It is the feeling that there are people within this organization, and maybe within this league, who are not fully committed to letting Caitlin Clark be everything she can be. Who are not fully bought in to the idea that this woman is a once-in-a-generation talent who deserves to be built around, protected, and celebrated. And when a former NBA player who played with Dame Time himself has to go on national television and say what should be obvious to every single person inside that organization, you know something has gone seriously wrong. Now let us talk about Sophie Cunningham for a second, because Sophie Cunningham is a huge part of why this Indiana Fever team is so beloved. Sophie Cunningham, the blonde bomber, is one of the most likable, most authentic, most entertaining personalities in the entire WNBA. She goes viral constantly. She has become a genuine fan favorite. And you know what Sophie Cunningham represents? She represents exactly what this Indiana Fever team is supposed to be about. Energy, passion, toughness, personality, the kind of player who makes you smile just by watching her compete. And the fact that Sophie Cunningham has become a symbol of what this team is, that tells you how powerful this Fever brand is when it is firing on all cylinders. After playing back-to-back games on a Friday and Saturday, Sophie Cunningham showed up at a camp for 300 kids. 300 kids, and she took pictures with every single one of them. Every one. She did the point, her signature move, with every kid at that camp. After playing 2 games in 2 days, that is the kind of person she is. That is the kind of teammate she is. And that is exactly why fans love her so much. She gets it. She understands what this moment is. She understands what this Fever team means to people. And she shows up every single day with that energy. Now imagine, just imagine, if the Indiana Fever organization had that same energy. Imagine if Stephanie White had that same commitment to protecting and celebrating what this team has. Imagine if the coaching staff looked at what Caitlin Clark is doing, the records she is breaking, the fans she is bringing in, the money she is generating, and said, you know what, we are going to do everything in our power to make sure she is safe, she is happy, and she is able to be the greatest player in the world every single night she steps on that floor. Imagine that, because that is what should be happening, and it is not. Let us talk about the records for a second. Because Caitlin Clark just came off a record-setting weekend that was absolutely historic. Back-to-back games, 45 points across the 2 games, 10 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. And here is the number that will blow your mind. Only 5 players in the combined history of the WNBA and the NBA have ever put up those kinds of numbers across a back-to-back. 5 players, and Caitlin Clark is the only WNBA player in that group, the only one. She is doing things in this league that have literally never been done before. She is breaking records that people did not even know existed. She is rewriting the history books in real time. And she is doing it while taking hard hits, while dealing with officiating inconsistencies, while navigating a coaching situation that is not maximizing her talent, and she is still doing it. That is how good Caitlin Clark is. That is how special she is. And that is exactly why Enes Kanter Freedom's words hit so hard, because he is right. She is the golden goose. She is the engine that is driving everything good that is happening in this league right now. And the people who are supposed to be protecting her, the teammates, the coaches, the organization, the league itself, are failing her. They are failing the fans, and they are failing the future of women's basketball. Now here is where it gets even crazier. Because even Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, the most powerful man in professional basketball in North America, has had to weigh in on this situation. Adam Silver said publicly that Caitlin Clark has become a political football. Think about what that means. The commissioner of the NBA is paying attention to what is happening in the WNBA with Caitlin Clark. He is watching, he is commenting, and 11 members of Congress have also weighed in on this situation. Lawmakers, people who run the country. They are paying attention to how Caitlin Clark is being treated on the basketball court. When was the last time that happened in women's sports? When has the treatment of a player on the court ever risen to the level where members of Congress are getting involved? Never. This has never happened before, and it tells you everything about the magnitude of this moment and the magnitude of Caitlin Clark's impact. So let us bring it all together. You have a former NBA player, a man who played at the highest level, who played alongside one of the greatest point guards in the game, going on national television and saying the Indiana Fever and the WNBA are failing Caitlin Clark. You have 11 members of Congress paying attention to how she is being treated. You have the NBA commissioner calling her a political football. You have fans all over the country scheduling their days around her games. You have sold out arenas everywhere she goes. You have record-breaking ratings. You have historic individual performances on a weekly basis. And in the middle of all of this, in the middle of the greatest story in women's basketball history, you have a coaching staff that is calling her style hero ball and pulling the pick and roll because people know it is coming. It is almost too much to believe. It really is. And yet here we are watching it happen in real time. And the question that every single person in that Indiana Fever organization needs to ask themselves is this: do you understand what you have? Do you truly understand the magnitude of what Caitlin Clark means, not just to your team, not just to your organization, but to the entire sport of women's basketball? Because if you do, if you truly understand it, then the answer is simple. You protect her, you build around her, you celebrate her, you make sure that every time she steps on that floor, she has everything she needs to be the best player in the world. And you make sure that nobody gets to knock her around without consequences. Because here is the bottom line. Here is the thing that Enes Kanter Freedom said that every single person needs to hear. If she goes down, if she leaves this league, nobody will be making the money they are making right now. Full stop. End of discussion. The gravy train ends the moment Caitlin Clark decides this is not worth it anymore. And right now, the people who are supposed to be protecting her are doing the exact opposite, and a former NBA player had to go on national television to say it. That is where we are. That is the state of the Indiana Fever in the year of our Lord, 2025. Social media is absolutely on fire right now over all of this. And look, the WNBA community is completely split. On one side, you have the fans, the millions of people who have fallen in love with Caitlin Clark and with the Indiana Fever, who are furious, who are demanding answers, who are asking how the organization can watch this happen and do nothing, who are calling for change at the coaching level and demanding that the league step up and enforce its own rules consistently. These fans are done with the excuses, they are done with the silence, they want action, and they want it now. And then on the other side, you have the people who are defending the status quo, who are saying that Caitlin Clark is getting too much attention, that the focus on her is unfair to other players, that the calls she gets are already fair. And you know what? Those people are getting louder and louder on social media right now. They are pushing back hard against every single person who stands up for Caitlin Clark. And here is what is fascinating about that. The harder they push back, the more attention it draws to the situation. The more they argue against Caitlin Clark, the more fans rally to her side, because when people see what she's doing on the court, when they see the records, the highlights, the sold out arenas, the ratings, they know the truth. They can see it with their own eyes. And no amount of social media pushback is going to change that. The stakes here could not be higher. This is not just about one player. This is not just about one team. This is about the future of the WNBA. This is about whether this league is going to seize this once-in-a-generation opportunity that Caitlin Clark has handed them, or whether they are going to squander it through incompetence, jealousy, and a complete failure to understand what they have. And right now, based on everything we are seeing, based on everything that Enes Kanter Freedom said on national television, the league is failing the test. The Indiana Fever are failing the test. And Caitlin Clark, as she always does, is out there every single night, giving everything she has, breaking records, making history, and carrying this entire league on her back. Despite everything, despite the hard fouls, despite the inconsistent officiating, despite the coaching decisions that make absolutely no sense, she keeps going, she keeps performing, she keeps being the greatest thing to ever happen to this sport, and that is what makes her so special. That is what makes her the GOAT. Not just the talent, although the talent is absolutely otherworldly, but the resilience, the toughness, the ability to go out there night after night and perform at an elite level, regardless of what is being thrown at her. Caitlin Clark is built different. She is wired different. And the fact that she keeps delivering, keeps breaking records, keeps selling out arenas, keeps bringing new fans into the sport, even while being let down by the people around her, says everything about her character and her greatness. The conversation that Enes Kanter Freedom started is one that needed to happen. It is one that fans have been trying to have for a long time. And now that a former NBA player with real credibility, with real experience, with real knowledge of what it means to protect a superstar point guard has said it out loud on national television, maybe, just maybe, the people inside the Indiana Fever organization will finally listen. Maybe Stephanie White will wake up, maybe the teammates will look around and realize what is at stake. Maybe the league will look at its officiating and say, you know what, we need to do better, we need to be consistent, we need to protect our golden goose. Because if they do not, if they keep going down this road, the consequences are going to be enormous. Not just for the Indiana Fever, not just for the WNBA, but for the entire future of women's basketball in this country. The momentum that Caitlin Clark has built is real, it is historic. It is unprecedented, but momentum can be lost, and right now, the people who are supposed to be protecting it are doing everything wrong, and a former NBA player just said so. On national television, to the entire sports world, and you better believe that every single person who matters heard it. Before you go, please take just 1 second to like this video and subscribe to WNBA Extra if you enjoyed it, and if you want to stay up to date on everything happening with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Every single like, every comment, and every new subscription truly helps this channel grow, and it means the absolute world to me. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Do you think the Indiana Fever and the WNBA are failing Caitlin Clark? Do you think Stephanie White needs to go? Do you think the teammates need to step up? I want to hear from you. Drop it all in the comments, and I will see you in the very next one.
Here's what he had to say. When the league's biggest star keeps taking hard hits without getting the same protection under the rules, the league has to do a better job. Protecting your golden goose doesn't mean giving her extra calls. It means enforcing the rule book consistently and fairly. I mean, if I was her teammate, I would do everything I can to protect her, because if she goes down, if she leaves the league, then nobody will be making the money they're